The jungle planet of Vora 9 was silent that evening, too silent. Daniel Ward, the only human living on that wild world, walked slowly through the tall blue grass with his scanner in hand. He had spent 2 years studying this dangerous planet. But that evening felt different. The air was heavy, the wind was still, and every creature seemed to be hiding. Daniel stopped walking. Something was wrong. He checked the scanner again. A weak life signal blinked on the screen, small, injured, and alone. It came from deep inside the forest, an area even trained soldiers refused to enter. The local tribes called it the Silent Hollow, a place where the biggest predators hunted. Daniel hesitated. He knew the rules. Never interfere with native life. Never carry or touch a wild creature. But the weak blinking on his scanner felt like a heartbeat calling for help. He followed the signal. The trees grew thicker, their black leaves blocking most of the sunlight. Strange shadows moved on the ground, opening like long claws every time the wind touched them. Daniel stepped quietly, his hand close to his laser knife. Then he heard it, a soft sound. Like a tiny cry. Daniel stopped breathing for a moment. He slowly pushed aside a glowing vine and found a broken tree lying on the ground. Inside it was a small creature curled tightly, shaking in fear. Its fur was silver with light blue stripes. Its eyes were closed, its tiny body covered with dust and bruises. It looked like a small kitten, but Daniel knew nothing on this planet stayed small for long. Daniel knelt down. The creature suddenly opened its eyes. 2 bright blue eyes stared at him, eyes full of fear, pain, and hope all at once. Daniel felt something move inside his chest. The creature tried to stand but fell again, letting out a weak cry. He whispered softly, "Hey, it's okay. I won't hurt you." The creature looked at him again. Its ears twitched. For a moment, Daniel could swear it understood him. Suddenly the ground trembled. A low, deep roar echoed across the forest. Daniel froze. That roar. He had heard it only once before, from far away, and even then it almost made his heart stop. It belonged to a massive apex predator the tribes called the Night King. A creature so strong that even the tribes never fought it. They only prayed it stayed far away, but now the roar was close. Too close. The small cub cried again and tried to crawl deeper inside the broken tree, as if hiding from something that had been chasing it. Daniel looked at the cub, then at the dark forest around him. He had 2 choices: walk away and let the cub face the predator, or break the planet's strict rules by taking it with him. His mind said, "No, this is dangerous. This is wrong." But his heart said something else. Another roar made the tree branches shake. Daniel acted without thinking. He grabbed the small creature gently, wrapped it inside his jacket, and stood up. The cub trembled, but did not resist. It curled deeper into his chest, trusting him. Daniel whispered, "Don't worry. I've got you." He turned to run back toward his base, but the forest suddenly darkened. Birds flew out of the trees in panic. The wind died. The air turned cold. A huge shadow moved between the trees like a silent wave. Daniel increased his pace. Behind him, a tree cracked in half. Something giant was pushing through the forest, coming straight toward him. Daniel ran. The cub cried softly, sensing the danger. Daniel held it tighter and pushed through the bushes, sliding down a hill and landing hard on the ground. His legs hurt, but he kept running. A loud thud shook the ground. Then, another. The Night King was following him. Daniel jumped over a fallen log and rushed into a narrow path between tall rocks. He breathed heavily, sweat dripping down his forehead. But he did not stop. Why am I doing this? He wondered. He could die. The cub was not even human. He should have left it behind. But something inside him whispered, "This little creature needs you." Reaching the top of the hill, Daniel looked back. Between the trees, a pair of huge red eyes glowed like burning fire. The Night King had found him. It let out a roar so powerful that Daniel felt it in his bones. The sound blasted through the trees, scattering leaves and shaking dust from the air. Daniel ran faster. He reached a small clearing where sunlight broke through the leaves. He slipped, almost falling, but managed to hold onto a vine. The cub cried. Again. She. We're almost there, he whispered. But he knew he was lying. He was far away from his base. And the predator behind him was getting closer. Daniel reached the edge of a cliff. Below, a river flowed with strong current. The Night King stepped out from the shadows, giant, muscular, its black scales shining under the fading sun. Its mouth opened slowly, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Daniel stood frozen. The cub pressed tightly against him. He could feel its heartbeat racing fast. The predator took one heavy step forward. Daniel looked down at the cub, then at the cliff, then at the monster. And in that moment, he made a choice. He would not let the cub die, not today. Not like this, but he had only seconds to act. The Night King roared and charged, and Daniel jumped off the cliff. The cold water swallowed him and the tiny cub, dragging them both under. The current was strong, too strong. Daniel fought to keep himself and the creature afloat, kicking his legs and pushing upward until his head finally broke through the surface. The cub clung to his jacket with surprising strength, its small claws gripping the fabric as if its life depended on it. Hold on, Daniel shouted. Coughing water. The river carried them far from the forest where the Night King had stood. The roar of the huge predator faded slowly behind them, swallowed by the whoo of the sound of the rushing water. For several minutes, Daniel could do nothing except stay afloat and protect the cub. But the creature did not panic. It pressed itself closer to him, trusting him completely. That small trust gave Daniel strength. After a long struggle, the river pushed them toward a shallow bank. Daniel used every bit of energy to swim sideways, and finally collapsed on the sand, breathing hard. The cub crawled up and sat on his chest, staring at him with bright blue eyes. Daniel laughed softly, still coughing. You're a tough little thing. The cub let out a tiny sound, half purr, half chirp. Then it gently touched Daniel's nose with its small paw, as if thanking him. Daniel's heart warmed. Despite the cold water. He sat up slowly, holding the cub in his hands. Now that he had a closer look, he saw more details. Its small fangs were sharp. Its fur had a strange shine. Its tail had a glowing ring at the tip. Its ears twitched at every sound. This was unlike anything he had ever seen on Voronine. It was small now. But what would it grow into? Daniel shook off the fear. He had already broken the biggest rule. He had taken a native creature. No turning back now. He wrapped the cub inside his jacket and began walking toward his base. A new life in the humans. Daniel's research base was small, just a metal cabin with solar panels, scanners, and food supplies. When he entered, he shut the door quickly and leaned against it, catching his breath. The cub crawled out of his jacket and explored the room with slow, curious steps. It sniffed the air, pushed its nose against a metal crate, then tried to climb. Daniel's boots. Daniel watched it for a moment before saying, "All right, little one. Let's fix you up." He placed the creature gently on a table and used a medical scanner. The screen flashed strange results: growth rate, extreme muscle density, high brain activity, advanced species, unknown. Daniel frowned. This creature was not ordinary. It was evolving fast, even faster than some dangerous species he had studied. He cleaned the cub's wounds with warm water. It hissed at first, but then relaxed as Daniel's hands moved gently. After the wounds were treated, the cub curled up and slept soundly. Daniel placed a small blanket over it. The cabin, usually quiet and empty, now felt alive. A bond begins. Hours passed. Night fell. The jungle outside hummed with distant sounds. But inside, everything was calm. When the cub woke up, it looked around as if searching for something. Then it spotted Daniel sitting nearby and jumped directly into his lap. Daniel blinked in surprise. "You trust too easily." The cub licked his hand. He sighed. "All right. I guess we're a team now." He prepared a small bowl of warm milk, using his emergency food supplies. The cub smelled it and rushed forward, drinking eagerly. Some milk spilled on its chin, and Daniel wiped it carefully. "You're messy," he whispered, smiling. For the first time in months, Daniel didn't feel alone. He named the creature Lynx. Because of its sharp ears and bright eyes. Lynx chirped happily at the sound of the name. The creature that should not exist. The next morning, Daniel scanned Lynx again. His eyes widened. The creature had grown. Not just a little. A lot. In one single night, Lynx had doubled in size. Its muscles were stronger. Its tail glowed brighter. Its eyes looked sharper, more intelligent. This shouldn't be possible. Daniel stepped back. What are you?" Lynx tilted its head as if understanding the question. It jumped off the table and landed silently, its movements smooth and graceful. Daniel realized it was already stronger than most animals on the planet, and it was only 1 day old. Fear mixed with curiosity. If this creature kept growing like this, what would it become in a week? A month? A year? First signs of danger. As Daniel prepared food, Lynx suddenly stood still, ears raised. Then it growled, not at Daniel, but at the door. Something outside the cabin moved. Daniel quietly picked up his laser knife. Lynx stepped in front of him, claws extended, even though it was still small. It stood protectively like a loyal guardian. A shadow passed by the window. Daniel's heart raced. Then, knocking. A deep voice from outside said, "Human, open the door." Daniel froze. He recognized that voice. It belonged to the tribal scouts. They almost never visited outsiders, unless something serious had happened. Daniel looked at Lynx. The creature stood firm, ready to attack if needed. Daniel opened the door slowly. 2 tall tribal warriors stood outside, their armor marked with glowing blue lines, their spears humming with energy. The older warrior stepped forward. His eyes narrowed as he looked at Daniel. "The forest was disturbed last night," he said. "The Night King was enraged. Something escaped its hunt. Did you see anything?" Daniel's heartbeat grew louder. Before he could answer, Lynx stepped into view. The warriors went pale. The older one whispered in horror, "Sacred beast, Silver Fang, the creature of prophecy." Daniel blinked. "What?" The warrior pointed a shaking finger at Daniel. "You should not have touched it. You should not have raised it. Now the princess herself will come for you." Daniel felt the world tilt. Lynx growled softly and moved closer to Daniel, ready to defend him. The warriors stepped back, fear in their eyes. They turned around and hurried into the forest. Without another word, Daniel looked at Lynx. Lynx looked back, and Daniel whispered the truth he had been trying to ignore. "I didn't just save a creature. I raised something impossible." The forest was strangely quiet after the tribal warriors left. Daniel closed the cabin door slowly, his mind full of questions he had no answers to. He looked down at Lynx. The creature sat calmly beside the door, tail glowing faintly, eyes sharp as if it understood everything. Daniel whispered, "Silver Fang. Sacred beast, prophecy? What does that mean?" Lynx simply blinked once, then curled against Daniel's leg, seeking comfort. The moment felt peaceful, but only for a second, because deep inside the jungle, a low horn echoed. Daniel stiffened. That sound was not normal. That was the tribe's summoning horn, a call used only when something extremely serious had happened. Lynx's ears shot up. It growled, a low warning sound. Daniel walked to the window and looked out cautiously. Through the trees he could see the blue lights of the tribe slowly moving toward the forest clearing. Like glowing spirits drifting across the land, they were coming. Not just warriors this time, a whole delegation. Daniel swallowed hard. This is bad, really bad. The princess arrives. Daniel grabbed his jacket, preparing for the worst. Lynx followed him everywhere, stepping right beside his boots like a trained guardian, even though Daniel had never trained it for anything. Outside, the glowing lights grew brighter, then the forest parted, and she appeared at the front of the tribal group. Walked Princess Arasha, the heir to the ruling clan of the jungle tribes. Her tall figure was wrapped in ceremonial armor made of silver wood and blue crystals. Her eyes glowed golden, like a sun trapped inside a person. Behind her marched 20 elite warriors, their spears raised, armor shining in the dim light. Daniel felt Lynx stiffen beside him. Arasha stopped only a few meters away. Her eyes immediately locked onto Lynx. The glowing rings on Lynx's tail flickered. It stepped forward, placing itself between Daniel and the princess, ready to protect him. The princess did not look angry. She looked frightened. Arasha spoke softly, but her voice carried power. "You should not have taken it, human." Daniel took a slow breath. "I didn't take it, I saved it." Something was hunting it. Arasha shook her head. "You saved the wrong creature." She stepped closer, ignoring her guard's warnings. Her golden eyes examined Lynx carefully. "This is a silver fang cub," she said. "A creature blessed by our gods. Born once every 1,000 years. Daniel frowned. "If it's sacred, why was it alone? Why was it injured?" Arasha hesitated. The wind rustled the leaves. Finally she replied, "Because the Night King was hunting it." Daniel blinked. "But why would a giant predator hunt something sacred?" Arasha's jaw tightened. "Because the Night King fears what the silver fang becomes." She looked directly into Daniel's eyes. "In our history, a silver fang raised with love becomes the most powerful guardian of the jungle. But one raised with anger becomes a monster that destroys everything." She looked at Lynx again. "Your beast has chosen you. That has never happened before." Daniel felt a strange chill run down his spine. The princess straightened her shoulders and spoke firmly. "Human, the silver fang belongs to the royal line. You must surrender it." Daniel took a step back. Lynx growled deep and dangerous. It moved in front of Daniel again, tail glowing brighter. Fangs bared at the princess's warriors. The tribal guards raised their weapons instantly. Arasha's eyes widened. "No, stop! Lower your weapons! If anyone threatens it, it will attack." Daniel looked down at Lynx. "I think it made its decision." Lynx pressed closer to Daniel's leg. Arasha exhaled sharply. "This is impossible. The silver fang is supposed to bond only with members of the royal family, not a human." Daniel shrugged. "I didn't plan this." Arasha stared at him, her face full of conflict. Finally she said, "I cannot take it from you by force. If we try, the beast will slaughter us." Her warriors exchanged nervous looks. "So what now?" Daniel asked. Arasha stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Now I must bring you to the council. The elders must decide your fate. And the fate of the creature." Daniel frowned. "And if I refuse?" The princess looked him straight in the eyes. "Then the Night King will come for it again. And next time, it will not stop at the cub." Daniel's breath caught. He remembered the giant red eyes in the forest. He remembered the roar that shook his bones. He remembered how close Lynx had been to death. Daniel looked at Lynx, who gently pawed at his boot as if asking what would happen. "Next," he sighed. "Fine, I'll come. But Lynx stays with me." Arasha nodded slowly. "It will not leave you anyway." Tension in the air. The walk to the tribe's village was long and silent. Warriors kept their distance, always watching. Lynx, who stayed glued to Daniel's side. The creature's size had grown again, only slightly, but enough for Daniel to notice. Its stride was more confident, its eyes more intelligent. At one point, a warrior tried to walk too close. Lynx snarled so loudly that the man stumbled back and almost dropped his spear. Arasha whispered, It is already protecting you, that is. Dangerous. Daniel replied, I didn't train it. She answered softly, that is why it is dangerous. The village of the sky trees. The group reached the tribe's home, a massive village built high in the trees, connected by glowing bridges and wooden platforms. Giant blue lanterns floated in the air like fireflies. As Daniel entered the main hall, hundreds of eyes watched him. Fear, curiosity, anger, all mixed together. Lynx pressed closer to him, sensing the tension. An elder stepped forward, his long silver beard glowing with crystal dust. He pointed at Daniel. You brought the silver fang out of its destiny. You changed the balance of this world. And now the princess herself must make a choice. Daniel swallowed. What choice? The elder raised his staff, its crystals shining brightly. Whether to protect the human who bonded with the silver fang, or to eliminate him before the prophecy is fulfilled. The hall fell silent. Lynx growled, stepping forward defensively. Daniel whispered, Easy. Easy. But Arasha's face had turned pale, because she knew what came next. She knew the elders were not done. The council hall of the sky trees fell silent. Hundreds of eyes watched Daniel as he stood in the center, Lynx pressed protectively against his leg. Princess Arasha stood a few steps away, her face tight with worry. The elder with the crystal staff took a slow breath. Human, he said, voice echoing through the hall. You do not understand the danger you have brought. Daniel wanted to speak, but the elder lifted his hand. Let me show you. Two young warriors pulled aside a large curtain at the back of the hall. Behind it was an ancient wall carved with glowing symbols. The carvings shifted and shimmered like living light. Daniel stared, confused. What is this? Arasha answered. Quietly, our oldest prophecy. Written long before our tribe existed. The elder tapped his staff on the floor. The carvings glowed brighter, revealing a scene. A small cub with glowing rings on its tail. A giant predator with burning red eyes. And a human-like figure standing between them. Daniel felt his stomach twist. The elder continued. The silver fang is a holy creature, born once in 1,000 years. It is meant to choose its master. Usually the master is one of us, a royal. Arasha nodded slowly. The beast strengthens the one who raises it. The bond makes the guardian powerful. But, Daniel looked at her sharply. But, she looked away. The elder's voice grew heavy, but this time it chose you. Whispers spread across the hall. He is not one of us. He will bring destruction. The prophecy warns of this. Daniel's pulse quickened. What prophecy? The elder pointed to a specific carving, a glowing line of symbols that formed a story. Arasha read it aloud. If the silver fang bonds with a stranger of the stars, the Night King will rise, the tribes will fall, and only the chosen pair will decide the fate of our world. Daniel swallowed. What does that mean? Arasha stared at him, golden eyes trembling. It means you and Lynx are the chosen pair. The hall exploded in panic. Voices screamed, Impossible. He must be killed. The silver fang must be taken. The gods would never choose an outsider. Lynx growled loudly, silencing the room. Even in the chaos, Arasha never moved from where she stood. Her eyes remained locked on Daniel. The princess's secret. The elder slammed his staff on the ground. Quiet. The hall fell still. He turned to Arasha. Princess, you know the ancient law. If the silver fang chooses someone outside the royal bloodline, Arasha finished the sentence with a whisper. The royal heir must bond with them. Daniel blinked. Bond? What does that mean? The elder's eyes hardened. It means the princess must stand with you, protect you, guide you, fight beside you. Arasha looked away, her voice soft. It means my fate is tied to yours now. Daniel stepped back. I didn't ask for any of this. The elder replied, Yet you carry it. Lynx growled protectively. At Daniel's feet, the elder's next words were even heavier. If the princess refuses her role, then we must take the silver fang from the human, even if it means killing him. Daniel's heart stopped. Arasha's head snapped up instantly. No, you cannot. The beast will go mad if he dies. It will destroy the forest. But the elder answered coldly, better destroy the forest than destroy the world. Daniel stared at the ground, feeling the weight of everything. He never wanted this. He never wanted to change a planet. He just wanted to save a creature. Now he was tied to a prophecy older than the tribe itself. A moment of truth. Arasha stepped forward, ignoring the shocked gasps around her. She stood directly in front of Daniel. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Only he could hear. Listen to me. I don't believe killing you is right. You protected the cub. You saved its life. You showed kindness when our own people ran in fear. Daniel met her eyes. So what do we do now? She took a deep breath. We convince the council that you are not a threat. Daniel nodded. And if that fails? Arasha hesitated. Her voice cracked slightly. Then I will claim the bond myself. It is the only way to protect you. Daniel frowned. Claim the bond? Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. In our tribe, bonding means sharing life, sharing responsibility. And trust. Deep trust. Daniel blinked. Like a partnership? Arasha looked down. Yes, a very serious one. Before Daniel could reply, Lynx suddenly stepped forward, staring at the giant prophetic wall. The glowing symbols reflected in its eyes. The creature let out a soft but powerful roar. The carvings on the wall reacted. They lit up brighter. The symbols shifted. The light traveled down the wall. Toward Daniel and Lynx. Gasps filled the hall. The elders stumbled backward. No, it cannot be so soon. Arasha grabbed Daniel's wrist. It is reacting to your bond with Lynx. Daniel didn't understand. Is that bad? She whispered, voice shaking. It means the prophecy has already begun. The elder's judgment. The elder raised his staff. We have seen enough. The human will be taken to the trial pit at dawn. If he survives, the gods accept him. If he dies, the prophecy ends. Arasha shouted, You cannot judge him with that ancient test. It's cruel. The elder slammed his staff again. It is the law. The guards moved forward hesitant, but obeying. Lynx jumped in front of Daniel, fur raised, tail glowing dangerously bright. Daniel placed a hand on Lynx's back. It's all right, he whispered. Though he knew it wasn't, he looked at Arasha. A silent moment passed between them. Her expression was full of fear and guilt. He could see she wanted to help him, but she was trapped by her duty. Daniel exhaled slowly. All right, I'll face your trial. Arasha's eyes widened. Why? Daniel looked at Lynx, then at her. Because I'm not letting anyone take him from me, not even your gods. Arasha felt her heart twist. Because for the first time, she understood why the silver fang chose him. Dawn on Voronine did not begin with sunlight. It began with screams. Daniel stood inside a wooden holding hut near the trial pit, surrounded by guards. He hadn't slept. Lynx remained close, refusing to leave his side, eyes glowing like two blue flames in the dark. Outside, the sky turned a strange red. Arasha ran toward the hut, breathless and terrified. Human, she gasped. The trial is canceled. Daniel frowned. Why? Before she could answer, a roar thundered across the sky. Not the roar of the Night King, something worse. The entire forest shook as a massive shadow moved between the trees. Even the strongest warriors froze in fear. Arasha whispered, The Ravagers. They have awakened. Daniel didn't know the name, but the way her voice trembled told him enough. This was not a normal predator. This was not something the tribe could fight. Another scream ripped through the village. A young warrior stumbled into view, his armor shredded, blood pouring down his arm. "They're coming!" he shouted. "They're already inside the lower trees." The tribe exploded into chaos. Warriors sprinted to armor stands. Children were rushed into shelters. The crystal lanterns flickered as if afraid. Daniel stepped out of the hut. White smoke rose from the jungle. Flames crackled in the distance. Trees fell like dominoes. Something huge was moving toward them. Arasha grabbed his arm. "Listen to me. We must get you away from here." Daniel shook his head. "No, I'm not running." She stared at him, shocked. "This is not your fight." Daniel looked down at Lynx. The creature's fur bristled, tail glowing white. A sign Daniel had learned meant only one thing. Lynx wanted to attack. He turned back to Arasha. "You need help. And Lynx, he won't sit still anyway." Arasha opened her mouth to protest, but Lynx suddenly roared. A deep, sharp sound that echoed across the trees. The ground trembled again. The enemy was close. The first attack, the first Ravager crashed through the trees like a living tank, its body covered in thick bone plates, its mouth lined with rows of jagged teeth. Its 4 glowing red eyes locked onto the villagers. Warriors shot energy arrows, but they bounced off the Ravager's armor like dust. The creature smashed 2 warriors aside with one swing of its massive claws. Daniel whispered, "How do you fight that?" Arasha replied, "You don't. You run." But Lynx did not run. The silver fang cub stepped forward, fur raised, tail blazing. Despite still being young, Lynx looked ready to kill. Daniel placed a hand on Lynx's back. "You want to fight, don't you?" Lynx growled once. Daniel nodded. "All right, let's do it." He broke into a run toward the Ravager. Arasha shouted, "Daniel, wait!" But Lynx was already moving faster than anything Daniel had ever seen. It leaped high, claws slicing down toward the Ravager's face. The beast roared and swung its armored head, but Lynx spun midair, landing on its back, digging its claws deep into a weak spot near the creature's neck. The Ravager screeched in pain. Warriors stared in disbelief. Arasha whispered, "The silver fang, it can pierce their armor." Daniel saw an opening and grabbed a spear from a fallen warrior. He sprinted forward, climbing onto a tree root for height. "Hey!" he shouted at the Ravager. The beast turned toward him. Enraged, Daniel jumped and drove the spear straight into the creature's exposed throat, right where Lynx had torn through the plates. The Ravager collapsed dead for a moment. The world fell silent. Then the forest roared again. 3 more Ravagers burst into the clearing. Daniel whispered, "Oh, come on." The battle grows. The villagers fought with everything they had, but the Ravagers were too strong, too many, too fast. Their armored bodies smashed through huts, bridges, and tree platforms. Arasha fought like a blazing storm, her twin blades slicing through the air with glowing arcs. She moved with incredible grace, but even she struggled against the creature's thick armor. Lynx leaped from Ravager to Ravager, attacking their weak spots, tearing into joints, necks, and eyes. Daniel supported from the ground, throwing spears, pulling wounded warriors away, shouting warnings. But for every Ravager that fell, 2 more appeared. The tribe was losing ground fast. The elder yelled, "Retreat to the higher platforms. Save the children." Arasha's voice cut through the chaos. "No, hold your ground. The Silver Fang can win this." But the warriors had never seen a Silver Fang before. Fear filled their faces. Daniel stood beside Arasha, breathing hard. "This isn't just an attack, is it?" She shook her head. "The Night King sent them. It wants the Silver Fang dead before it grows into its full power." Daniel glanced at Lynx, who now stood on top of a fallen Ravager, chest heaving, eyes blazing with fury. He wasn't just fighting. He was becoming something. Something powerful. Something ancient. A last stand. The biggest Ravager of them all appeared massive, towering over the tribe's tallest trees. Its 4 eyes glowed blood red like molten lava, and its roar shook every bone in Daniel's body. Warriors screamed. Some dropped their weapons. The elder fell to his knees. Arasha whispered, horrified, "The Ravager King!" The creature charged through the village, smashing everything in its path. Arasha grabbed Daniel's shoulder. "Run! You and Lynx must run. If the Ravager King kills the Silver Fang, our world ends." Daniel looked at the massive monster, then at Lynx, who stared back at him, tail blazing brighter than ever. "No," Daniel said. "We're not running." Arasha stared at him, breath caught. Daniel stepped forward, voice steady. "We fight." For the first time, Arasha saw him differently, not as an outsider, not as a threat, but as someone who would sacrifice everything to protect her people. Lynx roared, leaping to Daniel's side. And Daniel whispered, "Let's finish this together." A human, a princess, and a rapidly growing Silver Fang charged into battle against the Ravager King. The Ravager King towered above the jungle, a living mountain of bone, muscle, and fire-red eyes. It roared again, shaking branches loose from the highest trees. Even the air seemed to twist in fear. Daniel felt the vibration in his ribs. Arasha felt it in her bones. And Lynx felt it in his soul. The Silver Fang cub stood completely still, fur glowing with tiny streaks of blue lightning. His tail flashed like a burning ring. His eyes shone with something Daniel had never seen before: determination. Not fear, the Ravager King slammed a claw into the ground, sending a shockwave across the village. Warriors stumbled. Some fell. Wooden houses cracked. Leaves rained down like falling embers. Daniel gripped a spear tightly. His voice shook, but his courage didn't. "Lynx, we take that monster down, together." Lynx stared at him, then lowered his head in a silent promise. Arasha stepped beside them. "I fight with you, for my people." Daniel flashed a tight smile. "For all of us." The first charge, the Ravager King lunged, moving far faster than its massive body should allow. Its claws sliced deep trenches into the earth. Its jaws opened wide enough to swallow a human whole. Daniel dove aside, rolling through the dust. Arasha flipped backward, landing gracefully. Lynx sprinted forward, a blue streak, a flash of silver claws. He leaped high, aiming for the Ravager King's exposed eye, but the creature jerked its head sideways, dodging the attack with terrifying intelligence. It slammed Lynx with its tail. The Silver Fang flew through the air and crashed into a tree. Daniel screamed, "Lynx!" But Lynx struggled back to his feet, shaking, bleeding but alive. Arasha's breath tightened. "It is learning." The Ravager King rarely misses. Daniel wiped dirt from his face. "Then Lynx will learn faster. A new enemy joins thee." Fight. The jungle suddenly went silent. Then a roar rose from the deepest part of the forest. A roar Daniel recognized. Arasha's face turned pale. The Night King. The trees behind them shattered like glass. A massive shadow stepped out, its red eyes glowing with ancient hatred. The Night King, the monster that had hunted Lynx from birth. The Ravager King snarled at the newcomer. The Night King roared back. Two giants, two predators, two ancient enemies. And both wanted the Silver Fang. Daniel whispered, "This just keeps getting worse." Arasha gripped her blades tighter. "If both attack at once, the tribe dies." Lynx stepped forward, fur glowing brighter with every heartbeat, not afraid, not backing down. Daniel felt the truth settle deep inside him. Lynx wasn't just growing fast, he was evolving, right here, right now. In front of them, the bond awakes. The Night King lunged at Daniel. Daniel froze. He didn't even have time to move, but Lynx moved for him. The Silver Fang sprinted and leaped, placing himself between Daniel and the giant beast. His small body glowed with intense blue light so bright, Daniel had to shield his eyes. The Night King's claws struck Lynx's back and bounced off, Lynx roared, a sound 10 times louder than before. The blue ring on his tail expanded, glowing like a burning halo. His body grew, bones cracking, muscles stretching. He was transforming. Arasha gasped. The silver fang! It's awakening its true form. Lynx doubled in size. Then tripled. His claws lengthened. His fangs sharpened. His fur turned into shimmering silver armor. Daniel stared wide-eyed. Lynx? The cub was no longer a cub. He was the young form of a legendary predator, a guardian beast. The impossible fight, the Ravager. King roared and charged at Lynx. The Night King attacked from the opposite side. Two colossal beasts. One silver fang. Daniel's heart raced. He can't take them both. Arasha grabbed his arm tightly. He can, but he needs you. Daniel blinked. Me? What can I do? Arasha looked straight into his eyes. You're the reason it awakened. Your bond is its power. And Daniel understood. He stepped forward. He placed a hand on Lynx's silver fur. Energy pulsed through his palm. A warm, electric feeling. Like Lynx's heartbeat was syncing with his own. Lynx roared a roar that split the sky. Blue flames wrapped around his legs. His tail ring burned like a spinning sun. His eyes glowed brighter than ever. He sprinted toward the Ravager King. The Hunt of Legends began. Battle of the Beasts. Lynx leaped onto the Ravager King's back, claws cutting straight through the armor plates. The giant beast roared in pain, thrashing violently. The Night King attacked from the side, snapping its jaws, but Lynx twisted midair and kicked the Night King in the face, sending it crashing into a boulder. Daniel stared in shock. Arasha whispered, I've never seen anything move like that. Lynx didn't stop. He dashed across the battlefield in blue blurs, dodging giant claws, striking weak spots, roaring with ancient fury. The Ravager King tried to crush him. The Night King tried to devour him, but Lynx was faster, stronger, smarter, every attack. Daniel shouted, Left, Lynx! Behind you! Jump! Lynx responded instantly. They were fighting as one, a true bonded pair. The end of the King. Lynx leaped high, so high he disappeared into the tree canopy for a moment. Ravager King looked up. Too late. Lynx came down like a silver meteor, crashing onto the beast's head. His claws pierced deep. His roar shook the sky. The Ravager King collapsed. Ground trembled. Birds fled into the sky. Silence fell. The Night King stared at Lynx, eyes full of hatred but also fear. For the first time, the ancient predator stepped back. Then it turned and disappeared into the forest. Daniel dropped to his knees, exhausted. Arasha stared at Lynx with awe. He saved us all. Lynx walked to Daniel and placed his massive head gently against the human's chest. Daniel wrapped his arms around him. You did it, buddy. You really did. The princess looked at them, human and Silver Fang standing together in the ruins of a battle that would be told for centuries. And in her heart, she knew the prophecy was no longer something to fear. It had already begun. And the world's fate now rested in the hands of the chosen pair. Smoke drifted through the destroyed Skytree village. Splintered wood hung from broken bridges. Crystal lanterns lay shattered on the ground, glowing weakly. The battle was over, but the silence felt heavier than the roars that came before it. Daniel sat on a fallen log, his hands shaking from exhaustion. Lynx, the newly awakened Silver Fang, rested beside him. His huge silver body lay close, protecting Daniel from the cold evening wind. Lynx's breathing was steady, deeper than before. He was stronger. He was no longer a cub. He was a legend reborn. Arasha stood a few steps away, staring at the village she was meant to protect. Tears glimmered in her golden eyes, though she kept her head high. Her tribe, her people, everything had changed, and she knew why. Daniel finally broke the silence. Arasha, your people, are they live, she said quietly. Because of you, and because of him. She looked at Lynx, who lifted his head slightly when he heard her voice. Arasha walked toward Daniel slowly. When the Ravager King attacked, we were finished. No warrior, no army, no weapon could stop it. Daniel nodded. But Lynx did. Arasha shook her head. No, you and Lynx did. The prophecy spoke of a pair, a human stranger with courage, and a silver fang with a pure heart. Daniel sighed. I wasn't trying to fulfill any prophecy. I just didn't want him to die. Arasha studied him for a long moment. That is exactly why the prophecy chose you. The council gathers. The surviving elders gathered in a circle around a burned platform. Their faces were tight with fear, confusion, and disbelief. The oldest elder, the one with the crystal staff, stepped forward. Princess Arasha. The trial is no longer needed. The gods have shown their answer. Arasha straightened. And what answer is that? The elder pointed at Daniel and Lynx. That the silver fang has chosen the human, and that his life is now tied to our world. Murmurs spread through the tribe. He saved us. He is the chosen one. But he is an outsider. He holds great danger. No, he holds great hope. Arasha raised her hand, silencing them. I will speak. The elders bowed their heads. Daniel watched her, unsure what she would say. The decision only a princess can make. Arasha turned toward Daniel. Her face was calm, but her heart raced. She had been raised to follow duty, honor, and tradition. She had been raised to protect the silver fang and her people. But fate had twisted everything. She took a step closer. Daniel Ward, she began softly, you did not ask for any of this. You did not seek power, prophecy, or destiny. Yet destiny found you. Daniel swallowed. Arasha. She continued, voice trembling slightly. The silver fang chose you as its bond partner. This means the ancient law requires a royal to stand with you, to guide you, to join your path. Daniel blinked. Join my path? What does that mean? Arasha lowered her eyes. It means I must bind my fate to yours. Daniel's heart froze. What kind of binding? She lifted her gaze. Our most sacred vow. The guardian bond. A connection deeper than a promise, deeper than friendship, deeper than allegiance. Daniel felt his breath catch. It is a bond of life. Arasha whispered. If the silver fang chooses someone, the royal heir must join that chosen one, fight with them, guide them, and share every victory and every danger. Daniel stared at her, stunned. So you're saying you're required to stay with me? Arasha hesitated. The elders leaned forward. The tribe waited. And then Arasha spoke the words that would change everything. No, I am not required. She took another step closer. I am choosing to. The tribe gasped. Daniel's mouth went dry. Arasha, why? She held his gaze with steady eyes. Because I saw your courage. I saw your heart. You risked everything for a creature that was not yours. You protected my people when many of my own warriors ran. She touched Lynx's fur gently. And he trusts you more than he trusts anyone in this world. That alone is a sign. Daniel felt warmth in his chest he couldn't explain. Arasha took a deep breath. So here is my choice. As princess of the sky trees, I choose to bond with you. I choose to stand beside you. I choose to face the prophecy together. Lynx let out a deep approving rumble. Daniel opened his mouth, stunned, unsure of what to say, but the elder raised his staff. It is decided, the elder declared. The princess has chosen. The guardian Bo.